start recording. Hi everyone. So today is day 4 on Full Stack Open Intro to React Part 1, and today we will learn about component state and event handlers. So let's start. Okay, let's start. We start with a new example. Okay, const hello props, and we are doing this name. Const app in app component name is Peter, age is 10. Okay, and we are returning name and age. Okay, that's it. What's wrong with this component? Let's see. Component helper functions. Let's expand our hello component so it guesses the year of the birth of the person being greeted. Born year. Okay, born year. This calculates a born year, and we are writing born year, executing and writing the result of a born year right here. Okay, the logic of guessing year of birth is encapsulated within function of its own, which is invoked when component is rendered. The person age does not need to be explicitly passed as a parameter to the function because the function can directly access all the props provided by component. Okay, we are calculating here and we are getting age from props. Okay, if we examine current code, we notice that helper function is defined within an other function that determines component behavior. Function inside another function. Okay, this will end up making a closure. Okay, in Java programming, defining a function with another function can be complex and is uncommon. However, in JavaScript, defining a function within a function is common and efficient practice. Okay, in JavaScript is full of closures. Before we move forward, we will take a look at a small and but useful feature of JavaScript languages: destructuring values from an object. Got it. I mean, I did this a lot of time. Sorry. Note that we also, I mean, this is a code, we are doing this, but where we are destructuring, field destructure. Note we have also utilized more compact syntax arrow function when we are defining birth year function. Okay, this one. As mentioned earlier, if an arrow function consists of single expression, then function body does not need to be written inside curly braces. Like this, we don't need one-liner function, very common in JavaScript. Okay. In this more compact form, the function simply returns the result in a single expression. Okay. To recap, two function definitions shown below are equivalent. Okay. Destructuring makes assignment variable easier since we can use to extract, and okay, we can do this kind of destructuring. Okay, his first component helper function, then destructuring. I wanna go to state really. I'm in a hurry to reach a state chapter, a section, whatever we say. We can streamline our component by assigning values of the properties directly into variable names and age, which we can then use in our code. I mean, I'm, where I was, right here. We assign the values of properties directly by destructuring props object. Okay, got it. We can do destructuring this way. I think we read this destructuring somewhere else. I think in React docs when we were reading props documentation. Page re-rendering. Up to this point, our application have been static. The appearance remains unchanged after initial rendering. But what if we want to create a counter that increases in the value either over time or when button is clicked? Let's start. What they're doing, I mean, they're doing something. I mean, they're trying to simulate uh, a React component without a state. I mean, this is I should go. I need to go through this, but this is first and last time I'll do this. Other than everywhere, we need to use state stateful components. Obviously, our application is static. Let's start with the following app.jsx. Wow. Okay, in app we are giving it counter and counter. Oh why they are rendering root. Let's do a little fun. I think I can delete this because I can't delete this. I think. I mean, it's their exercises, so I need to do what? Spin up another React app for experiencing this, or mm, let's go back and see something. React docs React project, React docs. Yeah, we'll play right here. Obviously, we will play right here so we don't mess up our main project. Main.jsx. Okay, here. First, let's copy and go to app. Mm, app. Let's do this in app and main.jsx becomes this. Okay, let counter. But where do I need to write this line? Let counter is equal to 1. Okay, counter plus equals to 1. The app component is given value counter via counter prop. This component renders the value to the screen. Let's run this. npm run that. And what's going wrong with message? I need to do just message component. What's going on with counter is missing prop validation. I can quickly fix disabling this. Okay, now if we run 5.73, some weird thing will happen. Okay, we got one. This one is coming from right here. Okay, let's go further. Let counter is equal to 1. Okay, root dot render counter. Okay, we'll copy this and paste. Not, yeah, here, also, and app is not defined. React component is defined. Oh, no, what's going wrong? Let's do this. No, we will do this. Not this one. Delete them and paste this code. Now we are good to go. We'll do set in a well. We'll run set in a well right here. Okay, after every second, look, look at this. Uh, re-rendering. I did something. I think in profiler or component in subsetting. Yeah, this highlight updates when component renders. So this when component is rendering, the update is getting highlighted. Yes, component is rendered again and again and again. If I disable this, you will not see what's going on, but I love to see this way. When your app is big, this will help you to see how how your app is performance wise working, and if you click a button, maybe unnecessary components re-render, you can fix them this way. Okay, and this is great, I think, for seeing live changes, what's going on in the code. Okay, we are good to go. I mean, let's do a stateful components. This will be real fun, I think. And let's start. All of our components till now have been simple in the sense that they have not contained any state that could change during life cycle of component. But we kind of simulated state right here. Next, let's add state to application. Add component helps render state hook. We'll change as follows. Okay, yes, got it. This will work same way. Let's, I mean, read a React docs about use state. This will be real fun, I think. Then we'll go back and do whatever we were doing right here. Yes, this is great. These are great documentations are great lessons, but reading official docs may help more diving deeper and learning, having a great knowledge about state. First of all, we need to figure out what is state. I mean, in CS or in computer science or in software engineering, what is state? A state of program or state of in context of React, state of React component, or in context of any program, what is state of program? State is basically a data. I mean, shape, form or shape of data, in what form data is. We'll explore and we will reach to a point we'll understand what really state mean in CS and also in React. So let's go. First of all, what is state? We just will Google. I don't have any grid. I use state a lot, but I listened about state like in OOP, stuff. State is intact inside a program, and in FP, state is a different entity, and state is not intact with a code. But I'm not really good at it, and I don't really deeply understand. Today, my main purpose of this day is to understand state in CS and state in I mean in React or front end development. But I'll watch couple of YouTube videos. Maybe I will read couple of blogs, articles, or maybe I do a couple of chatting with AI. But hopefully, I'll end up with a good understanding of state. No matter what I complete today lesson or not, it doesn't really matter for me to just, I mean, running through a course and completing it. No, it don't make sense to me. Like, hey, I need to complete this course in 30 days or 3 months or 4 months. No, I want to really understand the concepts. So when I write my own software, my own programs, I'll end up with a great understanding. I mean, this is the purpose of doing all of this full stack open. So I can, I mean, this full stack open is helper, um, like a helper roadmap. But the real way is to read official documentations, learn core CS concepts or whatnot, what becomes necessary around along the way. Just go through it and dive deeper how much you can afford by time maybe. This is still running, but I don't care. So let's Google what's what is paid in software engineering. Oh, why software engineering? Okay, software development. But let's see what state in programming. Okay, state is just data. What I said earlier. Okay, the current condition or configuration of program or a system at a given time. Really, I mean, ah, ugly definition for me. This is, I mean, this is acid mind. Okay, state is just the data. I mean, how simple it is. But I will go to Wikipedia maybe. Hmm, some other. This guy may help me. I mean, I'll not watch right now, but I'll avoid. No, state transition diagram. I mean, what it is, I don't know. Geeks of geek, state machine diagram. No. State management. No. State model. No. No, 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 I'm not. I think I should do AI search. Hmm. In information technology and computer science, a system is described as a stateful if it is designed to remember preceding events. What it means, I don't know. Preceding events. I mean, previous events, I think, but let's Google it. Oh, what I did really. Who this guy is? Preceding events. Meaning. Events that happen before a certain or before or after a previous event. Events that happen before a certain time or before another event. Okay, Wikipedia as user interactions. The remember information. The remembered information is called state of the system. Digital logic, program state. I think I'm really interested in this guy, this paragraph. Okay. Similarly, computer programs store data in variables. Variable is an abstract storage location. We store data in memory, which represent storage location in computer memory. Okay. The constant contents of these memory location at any given point of program execution are called program state. Oh boy, this is really uh, a more specialized definition of state is used. I think I love dark theme. Ah, this is cool. And now I can read more comfortably. A more specialized definition of state is used for computer programs that operate serially or sequentially on stream of data such as parsers, firewalls, and encryption. Serial programs are incoming data characters, and this is super, complex. In functional program, state is temporal logic. What it is, I don't know. Mm, pure function. When we'll do functional programming, may I understand this? In declarative programming, program describe desired result, don't specify changes of the state directly. Imperative programming. Why there is no OOP? Let's. I'm lazy. I will not write here, but I do this. Pro programming. I think AI will answer my question because this is a pretty, I think, a deep core concept. So, what I'm doing, what am I doing? Oh, wow, do you think DeepSeek is really thinking? How big this documentation is? I'm just checking. Describing UI, UI as a tree, conditional rendering, rendering list. I think we will go through whole React documentation eventually. Adding interactivity, managing state, skipping, what is advanced, referencing, use ref, use effect, removing effect, dependency, this and whatnot. I think DeepSeek is ready. Let's read. I mean, pretty much more. In software engineering and program, state refers to the stored information that program or system uses to represent its current condition of at any given moment. In software engineering and programming, state refers to the stored information. It is stored in maybe what we say in memory, okay, program or a system uses to represent current condition of any given moment. Okay. This information influences how the program behaves and responds, inputs, event interactions. Here is a structured breakdown. Okay. The value of variable data structures or object attributes at specific time for a game state might include player health, position, and score. A bank account object state could be a current balance. Oh wow. Behavior influence. State determines how program reacts to input. For instance, a traffic light state red, yellow, green dictates its transition. A user logic state login effect access to a feature. Okay. State transition programs often move between states based on events. Okay. Clicking save document, editing transition, editing, saving, save. Mm. Global state, local state, application state, high level data, UI preferences, session state, stateless and stateful, no retained information, concurrency. I think I'm missing something right here. Types of state, application state, high level data, user preferences, user themes. Session state, a temporary data tied to user session. Shopping cart items, okay, session state. Component state, local UI component, e.g. form input values. Stateful versus stateless versus stateful systems. No retained information between requests. Stateful retain context around interactions, databases, user interactions, user sessions, and cookies. Challenges in state management, concurrency, preventing race conditions, consistency. I mean, state is just a data which is representing how or state or current condition or state of the program. I mean, confusing definition or confusing way to understand, I think, but let's go more. I mean, the true state is backend database. Okay, when we go from database, we move data to UI. I mean, then we use state management libraries or stuff like that to represent the same state at UI level. Okay. I mean, these two things are most important for me right now. Object-oriented programming. Objects encapsulate state, attributes, and behaviors method. State is passed as an argument, and new state are returned instead of modifying existing one. I mean, this is little bit making sense to me, but this I never do functional programming in such a sense that I know any functional programming language, but I know emphasizes immutability. Immutability means the function cannot change a state, cannot mutate a state. I mean, we read immutability earlier, and immutability really means that, I mean, the variables or whatever data structure we are using cannot be, uh, changed, cannot be changed. So the data is passed through arguments in functions, and new state is returned instead of modifying existing one. Still not making sense to me, by the way. I mean, I don't want to go deep in this and learn how functional programming works. This is a later topic, but I mean, I want to really go deep in immutability relation with functional programming and state stuff. But right now, I think this is not a perfect time, or this is not a right time to go there for now. But uh, I mean, immutability really means you. I mean, we learned immutability earlier. There are pictures about it right here. Okay, I mean, variables are immutable and these are not immutable, but I think functional programming emphasizes immutability in reference data types somehow using some data structures maybe. I mean, let's go a little deep. I'm so interested. Go deep in this with examples. Okay, what is state? I mean, let's do a little YouTube search. Maybe it help us to really understand state more perfectly. I mean, in this topic, I'm feeling myself down right now. And this is by the way my personal meeting. Why? What is state in programming? What is state in programming? Let's Google this one. Now, X9 came at. I wanna listen to you or why my internet is working so slow. What is state in? Let's do a little filter over trying that. No, 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 no. I should change my QE software and engineering, even wrong spelling of engineering, wrong state diagram, not an understand state. Oh, who wrote there? What is state? State utility, state diagram. I'm given valid. I mean, I think eventually this guy will teach me. Okay, no problem. But let's go straight in programming. In, now understanding state in programming. Who this guy is? I don't know. Density. I learn state management. I wanna know what state is for now. I think the only guy who's teaching state on the internet is this.
Hi and welcome to this video.
I think
In this video, we're going to have a look at the concept of state. Because in programming, especially also when working with front-end frameworks and libraries like React or Angular or Vue, you often hear about state and changing state and how
by the way, I don't just want to learn state about front end. I want to learn about state in software, in programming or software engineering, in back end, front end, mobile, whatever. State of a program, not a specific to specific technology or specific framework. Let's
how
go.
that affects the application. Therefore, in this video, we're going to have a look at what exactly state is. So, what is state in the end? Well, you can take it quite literally. It is the current state of your program. But that might not be too helpful. So let's step away from programming and development for a second and let's think about the real world. What is my current state? I'm sitting here. I also have some coffee here, and currently this coffee is still hot. So the state of this coffee is that it's hot. Now, if I put it there and keep it there for a couple of minutes or hours, it will get cold, and then the new state of the coffee is that it's cold. And of course, in the case of coffee, there are a lot of states in between where it gradually gets colder and colder. Now, there also are states where there are less in between states. For example, you could say currently I'm recording the video, but as soon as I press the stop button, my state is that I'm not recording it anymore. And that is what state is in the real world. It's probably something that makes total sense. But if we now go back to programming, what is state there? Well, in the world of programming, we could say the state is simply the combination of all the data we currently have in our application. Take this simple example here. I have a very simple JavaScript code file here where I in the end have an interval, which I set here, which fires every second. And every second I then call the increment counter function, which then in turn changes the counter variable, which then in turn calls the render state function to log it to the console. Hence, if I run this file with Node, for example, I get, well, the incrementing number being printed to the console until I quit the program. And that is an example of state here. This program has a state, and the state of this program happens to change every second. Because my state here is, in the end, my counter, but then also what my program does. It's the data this program is working with and manipulating, but of course it's then also the result of these data manipulations. So in my program, the state changes every second because I change this variable here, but it also changes every second because I then log this to the console. So we could say that when I start this program, the initial state is that the counter is 0 and that it's not showing anything on the screen. But after 1 second, the new state is that the counter is 1, and that already would be a new state, even if we wouldn't be printing it to the console. But then we also do print it to the console, so the new state is that the counter is 1, and that we printed something to the console, the number 1 in this case. And that's what state is all about in the end. And therefore in programming, it's typically changes to data which trigger changes in state, because yes, we're logging something to the console, but that only changes because we also have changing data in the end. I hope this makes sense. And that's what state is all about in the end. Now, I also created a very simple React demo project here. And in this demo project, I have an app
I think I don't need
here again,
React stuff
provided by
right
React,
now.
which only has
I'm good to go.
So as that last quiz just showed us, in order
First, let's start with two key concepts, states and events. Both of these are abstract, but nevertheless useful in describing system behavior. A state is an abstract description of a set of system values at a given point of time. For example, it's raining outside. This is actually some estimation or abstraction over the amount of precipitation in the air at a given point in time.
Not making sense.
order to figure out whether an expression is true or not, or what it evaluates to, we're going to need to keep track of the values of variables, which might change with assignment statements. So we're going to track the current state of the world. Is X1 or is X2? We don't know yet. Is the King of France bald or not? We're going to have to find out. It's a question that can be answered empirically by looking at the state of things. So to figure out what an expression like X plus 2 means, when we're doing our interpreting, when we're writing our web browser, we're going to need to keep around some notion of the values of variables, the state of the world. And we're going to do that with a mapping from variable names, like X, to values. In Python dictionary style, that might be something like X currently has the value 3. This mapping is called the state, and this is a super important concept in programming languages. It's kind of like asking, what's the current temperature? Depends on the current state of the world, and it may change over time. We'll need a lot of bookkeeping to keep track of it. So, as we hinted earlier, a fairly direct way to do this would be just to use a Python dictionary that maps strings, variable names, to values. If we had something like this, we could easily evaluate x times y in this context, in this state, and determine that it's true for this state. Right now, x is 2. Right now, y is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So the value of this expression is true if this is the state of the world. Now, later, we may want our environment to be a little more complicated than just a single Python mapping. So we're going to introduce an abstract function to query it. So we'll just make a promise to ourselves. We're going to write a function called environment lookup, where you pass in an environment, probably a dictionary, but we may make it more complicated later, and a variable name.
I think chatting with AI good solution for now. I mean, I know a little bit now what is state, but I wanna deep. State is just a data which is in program which may get changed over time or on event. So if we take a look at full stack app app a true state is data in database like let's let's say we we did let's say a to-do app. Let's to do app simple to do app stores a to do value and is to do is marked done or not or is to do is deleted or not. So these are state of to do that may get kind of simulated maybe on front end by syncing with through db state in overall programming state is just a data. Let's say what GPT or what DeepSeek tells us. Okay, you're trying to understand concept of state and critical independent access. State is data stored in memory and general, but they also to true state the data like to do have to do mark as done or deleted. The difference between front-end state, back-end state, and database state. Let's say you are touching on a critical distinction in software systems transition state in memory data versus persistent state Database store data. Let's break down your to-do app example and explore how state is managed around full stack. What is state? State is any data that represent condition of the system or at a specific time. I think I should copy this definition and put on my wall. Maybe, but not. It can exist in front-end, temporary state, use form input, loading spinner. Backend server, cache data, session tokens, in-memory computation, to do marked undeleted. Okay. Often considered authoritative source of truth. Singles, but others layer may they have own truth temporarily. For example, front-end state on UI before syncing to database. Okay. Is cache to-dos to reduce database load, and the final persisted record is done. Okay. What's matter? Examples, straight flow. No, I don't wanna see examples. Mm, In general, Daniel, what is state? Road to 75. Okay. Okay, state is just a condition, represents system condition, and state is data. Okay, state is just the data that represents condition of a program at any point of time. Like now, the state of DeepSeek is it's giving me an answer. A state of this button is it's getting hold. Pomodoro timer is it's ringing. Okay. I'm in the last read, I think, of today in DeepSeek. In general programming, state data are information that program or system holds at a given moment which determines behavior or outputs. Okay, it represents current snapshot. Yeah, of the program, capturing everything, variables, objects, memory, external dependencies, files, databases. Here's a breakdown. Key characteristics of state. Data-driven behavior state defines how program reacts to inputs or events. For example, user.login flag determines whether user can access the dashboard or not. Mutability over time. State can change as program runs. A counter increments user update their profile example. Local state. I mean, sometimes it's reading, writing Python, sometimes JavaScript. What the hell is going on? Write one language, but I can understand both. Both are cool and simple. confined a function, object, or component. This is the state around this counter. Global state across entire application. Transistent state exists only in memory. UI state of variable. Persistent state saved storage like databases. Example of state in programming: simple state, just this. Object state is this. UI state is this. Game state, player health, musician, and mentor. Okay, but why state matter? Control flow, behavior over time, interaction. Yes. State management challenges: concurrency, consistency, complexity, and persistence. Okay, stateful versus stateless. Stateful retain information between operation, databases, example shopping cart. Stateless no retain information between request, HTTP APIs without cookies. Calculate and then reset after each manipulation. Programming paradigms and state. Imperative focus on mutable state variables, modify via loops and conditions. Okay. Functional programming uses avoid mutable state and uses immutability and pure function. Okay. Real world analogy. Traffic light transition changes behavior whether car stops or go. Key takeaway: state is the memory of the program that enables. State is the memory of the program. State is just data which is the memory of program. Okay, we got it. Remember past interactions, where dynamically model real world complex. Start. Yes, we can go back right now to go to state. We learn a lot of state today. And now we will learn use state. State on a front end. Okay, applications. By the way, messed up right here. I should click back. Stateful component. Component often need to change what's on the screen as a result of interaction. This is the UI state we know right now. Typing into the form should update the input field. Clicking next on the image carousel should change which image is displayed. Clicking buy should put product in the shopping cart. Components need to remember things. Yes, components need to remember the current input value, current image, shopping cart in the React. This kind of code is component specific memory is called state. Okay, but you will learn, and we will learn, and you will learn what we say. How to add a state, what pair values of use state hook returns, how to add more than one state, why state is called local. Let's get a little bit excited, I think. Here is a component that render caplet image. What is this? We can't pronounce. Wow, I wanna check it out. What it means.
Sculpture,
Ah, what?
sculpture,
Culture? Oh, let's go back. The sculpture image. Clicking the next button should show the next capture by changing index that. However, this won't work. You can try it. Okay, where do I click next? Right here. Nothing is working. Why? Show more. Let's understand the program. Sculpture list. We are getting export from default function gallery. Index is equal to 0. Function handle click index is equal to index plus 1. The sculpture list index 0. Button click sculpture.name sculpture.artist index plus 1 of sculpture.length. This one I think image src sculpture.url or sculpture.description. Where is image? Where is image? This is next button. This is name and artist. Okay, the URL and alt is displaying image, but it's not working. The handle event handler is updating local variable index, but two things prevent that change from local variable don't persist between renders. So the previous render, next render do not remember what happened in previous render. When React renders this component second time, it renders from scratch. It doesn't consider. So React, is not React components without a use state are not stateful and they don't remember. Okay, it doesn't consider any changes to the local variable. Changes to local variable won't trigger render. React do not realize it need to render the component again with the new data. To update component to new data, two things need to happen. Retain the data between renders. So component should remember. Trigger re- React to render the component with new data. Re-render. Okay. The use state hook officially we are reached here. The state a state variable that retain data between renders and a state setter function to update variable trigger React to render component again. To add a state variable, import useState. Okay, index set index useState. We will not write this way. We'll write this way. Variable like we need to write any and every variables kind of majority of the variables using useState or some stateful way. Index is a state variable and set index is and we are doing array destructuring. We know we don't need to go to array destructuring right now. Okay, let's go further. This is how they work together. Handle click set index plus 1. This index plus 1 setting and doing some stuff. And now it will work like a charm. Oh, runtime error. In React, use state as well as any other function starting with use is called hook. Okay, hooks are special function that only available while React is rendering, which we will get into more detail on the next page. Why not right now? Rendering and committing. I will not read this right now. State is just one of those features, but you'll meet other hooks later. We will meet really soon. Hooks function starting with use can only called on a top level of component. Like right here, we cannot write them in a JSX or inside a function or inside maybe a if statement. If I do this, will they work? Okay, wow. I'm gonna go back. What the hell I did? Okay, you can't call hooks inside conditions, loops, or other nested functions. Hooks are functions, but it's helpful to think them as an unconditional declaration about your component needs. You use React feature at the top of your component similar to how import modules at top of your file. Anatomy of use state. When you call use state, you are telling React that you want to this component to remember something. And this is references this much. Ish, ish, troubleshooting. I mean, I don't have a time to go through this today, but oh, what I did really, I did something ugly. I think. So, anatomy of use state. The only argument to use state is the initial value. For example, index initial value right here. The state variable index. Every time your component renders, use state gives you an array containing two values, index and set index. Okay, your component renders first time because you pass 0 as the initial value to index, and it will return 0 and set index, and React will remember 0 is a latest state value. You update the state when user clicks a button, set index index plus 1 index 0, the set index 1, they return to 1, and now triggers another render. Your component's second renders, React will see 0, but because React remembers, mm, let's go once more. Your component rendered first time because the application started. You because you passed 0 to use state as the initial value for index. Okay, this much makes sense. It will return 0 and set index. Okay. React remembers 0 is latest state value. Okay, you update the state. Okay, I updated the state. Let's say when user clicks the button, it calls set index index plus 1. Index is 0, so it set index 1. This tells React to remember index is 1 now and triggers another render. React will see you state 0, but because React remembers that you set index return is 1 instead. Okay, giving a multiple state variables. Okay, we can give, no problem. Okay, let's go. How React knows multiple, I mean, we can use reducer some way. This is, I mean, telling this will end up telling this data structure. Okay. Mm. How does React know which state to return? I don't know. State is isolated and private. Hmm. You might have noticed that useState calls does not receive any information about which state variable refers to. There is no identifier that pass useState and that. So how does I know which of state variables to return? Is some magic like passing your function? The answer is no. Instead, to enable their concise here is a really stable call order on every render at a same component. Uh, Internally, React holds an array of state pairs in every component. It also maintains current pair index, which is set to 0 before rendering. Each time you call useState, React gives you the next state pair and increments index. You can read more about this mechanism. This example does not use React, but it gives idea how useState works internally. Hmm, who will read 164 lines of code? Component hooks. I mean, I think I don't need to go this much deep. Not this guy. Hmm, I think I'm not gonna write some. Should be old as 2018. You don't need to use to write a lot, but leave it. No, what did state is isolated and private. State is a local component instance on a screen. In other words, if you render the same component twice, each copy will have completely isolated state. Changing one of them will not affect second of them like this. Okay. Example of gallery, got it. This is what makes states different from regular variables. In regular variable, when one change, it change the whole, but state is not that way. That you might declare at the top of your module. State is not tied to a particular function call placed in a code, but it is local and specific place on a screen, and you render the gallery component, so need to state stored separately. Like look at this. Okay, let's go. Also notice how page component does not know anything about gallery state over even whether it has any, unlike props. State is fully private to the component declaring it. What if you want both galleries to keep their state sync? The right way to do React to remove state from child component at their closest shared parent. The next few pages will focus on organizing state of single component, but we'll return to the topic sharing state between components. Recap. Okay, let's do a big recap. Use a state variable when component needs to remember some information between renders. State variables are declared by calling the use state hook. Hooks are special functions that start with use. They let you hook into React features like state. Hook might remind you of imports call they need to be called unconditionally. Calling use hooks including useState is only valid top level of component. The useState hook return pair of values, the current state and function to update. The useState hook returns pair of values. Okay, you can have more than one state. State is a private to component. If you render, okay, we got it. Challenges. I think I should do the code crashes. Fix a logic prevent a crash. You may need to this by adding extra logic event handler disabling button when action is not. After fixing crash, add previous button. I'm not this much today. I'm busy person who will do this. I think next. Nothing is crashing. It's crashed. Reset. This is what they want. Me right now. The next program. Okay. We need to do couple of stuff, but right now I'm busy. I'll not do exercises today, maybe tomorrow we'll do, but I'll complete this. But I think this is enough for today, maybe. How much time we spent today? 1 hour and 80 minutes. Stateful components, we got it. Okay, got it. Event handling. We already mentioned the event handlers that register to call a specific event occurs in few times. A user interaction in a different elements of a web page can cause a collection of various kind of event triggers. Let's change application so that increasing counter happens with user clicks, which is implemented with a button element. Button also supports so-called mouse event with the click most common event and registering an event handler. We will do on click, on this, on that, on this, and they will work. Events will work. We set value of the button on click attribute and to reference handle click function and define in a code. Okay, Okay. Let's go back. Event handling. By changing the event handler is to following from. I mean, I'm tired right now, and for today this is enough, I think. And from tomorrow onwards, we will do event handling with a fresh state of mind. Okay, we understood today a state, a main topic, and I think I'm right now not don't want to study more. This is enough for today. I mean, from tomorrow we'll complete this section and then maybe start this one. This is groups of hook, code react. This is a lot of stuff. I mean, I think each of this will take 10 days. Okay, yeah, I looking like it easier, but this is not. Okay, but this is not tough. That's this is enough for today, by the way. And from tomorrow I'll try to start earlier and spend at least more than 2 hours, so we can speed up to completing these parts or these courses with faster pace. My initial plan was to spend 4 hours, but unfortunately I can't I can't do right now because of some busy. I'm busy, so I'm so busy. I think I do I do a job, and after a job I do learn software engineering, and that's why. But from tomorrow I'll try to spend more time, maybe in morning 1.5 hour and in evening 1.5 hour, so I can speed up. Maybe I push to 1.5 hour videos, 90 minutes videos, 2 times a day maybe. But for now this is enough. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.